All right, everyone, welcome back to Master of the Universe podcast. I've got a Music of the Universe episode for you, and today we're going to be talking about a glam punk band from Hollywood, California, the Peppermint Creeps. Um, I'm a big fan, obviously, of music and all kinds of music, and I've done an episode prior to this. It was kind of like an Iron Maiden ranking. I don't remember if I did them like broken up into like segments or whatever as far as like part one, part two, and shit like that. But I thought I would, formally introduce, everyone to some of my favorite bands or just bands that I like to talk about. And I thought I would start off with something that I guess you really wouldn't see uh, as far as because I'm going to talk about Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, AC/DC, Metallica, Saxon, Crimson Glory, Sid Vicious. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. But this is a band that was, to me at least, at the brink of making it. Like really, really big. They're already doing, shows and shit. But it's like one of those bands too where you could really see them being like the bands that I talked about right there. So that's why I feel like it's something special to talk about a band that's known if you're from Hollywood, California, and I'm sure from a few other spots. But I'm going to get into what I know. Of course, I didn't write the biography about the Peppermint Creeps. I'm not from Hollywood, California. I'm just Joey Cage from Texas, San Antonio, Texas, and my story with them, and this will be the theme from all future episodes too. I'm not going to give you like a biography about every single thing. Just kind of my point of view on a band and why you should listen to them if you're interested. First of all, this kind of music, I love it. I really wasn't into any glam at the time. I remember being on MySpace. It must have been like 2004, 2005ish, something like that. And back then they used to have like the top 10 bands. There might have been more, but I know for the most part it's like top 10 bands for metal or rock, punk maybe, or glam. And they were number one for one of the categories. And you have to understand, to be number one in anything, it's pretty damn crazy, and they were. So, like I said, I don't know the exact specifics. And MySpace, it was the biggest thing in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. I'm sorry. So if you were like top dog there, that really was saying something. Because the internet was, I mean, of course it had been around before, but it was like really blowing up. YouTube was kind of, becoming a really big thing. I think like the AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd was, I don't remember, I don't know the exact year he started making videos, but it was like around this time. So the internet started blowing up. It really, really did. So I saw who they were. And I took note because I thought they looked very interesting. So if you're like a visual band, a lot of people compare them to Kiss. And like, yeah, I agree. I love that they were that kind of fluorescent kind of colors, pink, green, and that name, the Peppermint Creeps. And if I have to give you a few songs to listen to, of course, they're all over YouTube. They have, I think, there's a few albums. I think they've released. They have one called Amatron X. We Are the Weirdos. They did like a cover album, Cover Up, and then In Hell was their last one. I'm not going to talk about all the band members because I don't know much about any of the guys. Like I said, it's from my point of view. I might be in the works, to talk to one of the members. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to disappoint anybody or be one of those guys that like right away, oh, I'm going to talk to this person and it doesn't happen. But let's just say one of the members might from this band, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. I finally reached out to one of the band members because I was like, well, fuck it. If they say no, then I mean, what? I was in the same position now because there's a lot of mystery, to me at least, revolving around the Peppermint Creeps and around their history. Unless you are from Hollywood, California, there's not a lot or Los Angeles, that area. There's not a lot of information out there about the band other than you can Google. And whatever pulls up there, but YouTube as well. There's not a lot of information on there, and it's again too. They're a band that I felt could have really made it to the top. unfortunately, they weren't able to get that for a number of reasons. So, a quick biography about the band. From my understanding, again, it may be not 100%, but it started with Macy Malone, who I think is from Canada. There was another member. I'm not too familiar with him, and then there was Tracy Michaels. I'm assuming Tracy. I know Tracy's from the United States, but I don't know if Tracy was always lived in California or what, or Los Angeles or Hollywood. But from my understanding, there was a three-piece that started this band, and they went through a few lineup changes. I'm not too familiar with any of the stuff prior to 2004ish, 2005. Like I said, I'm not from Hollywood, California, so it's just kind of what's out there, what I saw on MySpace and shit like that. So when I started to notice the Peppermint Creeps, they had the lineup of Macy Malone on guitar and vocals, Tracy Michaels on drums and vocals, Robbie Stiles on guitar. I think he did some vocals, and then Eddie Electra, I think he did some main vocals too, but he was bass. And I think Eddie was playing guitar, and they had a different bass player until they got Robbie Stiles. And the whole crazy, and I bring up these members because to me, like, I mean, not to disrespect any of the prior members, I just didn't know who they were. I just saw them at this point as that lineup. And it was pretty strange because, they were like this top band on MySpace, and all of a sudden, I'm assuming there was a falling out, obviously, but Eddie Electra took over their MySpace profile, and I forgot the exact stuff he was saying. I can't remember. But it was a big deal because he was kind of like slandering or whatever. He was saying that that he held the rights to the name and all. I think from what I remember, it's not And I was all like, I remember seeing it because they were a big band, and and he had, I guess, locked out the other members or basically hijacked the MySpace profile, and then I think Macy or Tracy got it back because they, it was, I don't know how quick it was. It may have been a day, 2, or a week, couldn't tell you, but something like that. And they're like, oh, this and that or whatever. And next I knew, of course he was out of the fucking band, whatever happened there. I would love to know the details, because I mean, I've been in bands, and I've had people take my music and say it's theirs and play it and all kinds of crazy shit and whatever. But then they got Billy Blade on bass, and Billy's joined them in 2006, and I think he still jams with Macy, like they have their own band or something like that. Anyway, and then Robbie ended up joining back after Eddie left. So I can only assume that maybe, and from my understanding, Robbie Stiles is really young. I think he's the youngest guy in the band. I don't know how old he is for sure, but just from what I know from about him, he's probably around my age. I'm not 100%, but I'm 34, so I would have to assume Robbie's about my age. Give or take a year, but around that age as me. And the other guys, I think they were. I mean, I know they were older than them, but I don't know by how much. And Billy too, Billy, Macy, and Tracy, they were all, I'm assuming, at least 6 years older than them, something like that. I think I've read about how old they are, but yeah, they were, and I've always been that guy too, to jam out with older dudes, because like a lot of especially for me, like back then, it was like around this time, the only dudes that were into like stuff like this, because there was like different kinds of music out there, like you guys go, Creeds and shit like that. Everyone was into that, so to kind of go to something, except for like in Hollywood, California, I'm sure like that was like still being played, but like for me, that's what I'm saying. I can kind of understand while they're like, oh well, fuck, this guy's over, and he's really good guitar player. And as far as their songs go, I don't want to kind of skip over that and that little drama, but as far as their songs go, man, if I have to like give you guys a few of them, I think not in any order, but I really love the song Lesbian. There's a music video, really cool. There's a song by them called Just Another Day. Fuck Off and Die. Let Your Voice Be Heard. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I'll say like 80% of their shit's like listenable. I haven't listened to every song, but like the stuff I have listened to, I love. Pop Culture's really good. Stupid. Like I'm just trying to, like I'm just remember. There's so many of them. Like I put on their album the other day, And I was like, wow, man, every song on here is good. So I don't want to say, oh, 100% because I haven't listened to 100%, but I've listened to a lot of their shit. Um, but my favorite one for sure is Heartbleed, and there's a music video on there. And like, quick little story with that one. Um, it's a sad story, but I think I should tell it because for people that are listening to this and they want to know why this band, means a lot, it's because there's so much, craziness involved with it. Um, and like a lot of sadness. And I haven't even gotten to the sad shit yet. We're just getting started. But on that video, Heartbleed, the main guy that's in the guy. It was funny. I showed my brother this song, and he goes, "Man, that guy who's not even in the band, he looks like the most Peppermint Creeps style because I guess he kind of looks like Ace Frehley, like Robbie does." And I started laughing. I was laughing. I was like, He's the most peppery of the Creeps, pepperminty of the Creeps." And his name was CC Damage, and I know his real name, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I don't think it's worth uh, you know bringing anybody down, making them feel like shit to go look up the story. But basically, the guy in the video, kind of like the way the video portrays, supposedly according to this article from way back, and I saw it in the comments. You can see it in YouTube. The guy, actually got shot because of some kind of domestic, when you fight with your lady friend, your girlfriend. So ended up getting shot. So it's kind of like sad when you see the video now. Not kind of, it is sad. The guy looked really cool, and he also comes out on the other video, Just Another Day, and I think Robbie's sister is actually one, because I've seen, like, you'll say, where have I seen this guy? You'll see one. There's a few people from there that I've seen on Facebook and shit like that, where I'm like, oh, that's that guy for that video, because if you have mutual friends, you'll see friends, or you'll recognize those people, even though this is years ago. It's crazy, that those videos were shot like in 2008ish, I guess, or prior. I don't think those videos were on YouTube yet till much later, I think. I don't know. But I know during the time of 2005 and 6 and 7 and 8, that's all that, when I was like, okay, wow, this, I heard Fuck Off and Die, and I was kind of like blown away. I was like, what the fuck? I've never heard something so crazy. So
I could change the world. It wouldn't keep you from killing yourself. Take a good look around and listen for the sound of people who love you. Open up your eyes, your lonely eyes. No one's ever gonna hate you. Life's not so bad. You won't always be sad. Life's not so bad. Yeah.
Robbie, like I said earlier, ended up leaving the band. Not too sure why. You can only imagine being a younger guy, kind of going into this whole rock style lifestyle that these guys have been doing for forever. I know for me, like, it's like, wow, man, once you get really rolling, or whatever it may have been, musical differences, I have no clue. But it was sad to see the guy go, because I was like a big fan of what he brought to the Creeps. So it's Billy, Macy, and Tracy, and they're still doing their shows, and they're still doing really well. But unfortunately, on June 13, 2008, after performing in Fort Worth, Texas, and I think the bar was like Rockstar Sports Bar, something like that. They end up, from my understanding, they're like driving home on their bus, their transportation, whatever, and they I think Billy said something like that when he checked on when he was going to bed, which was like 3 or 4 in the morning, maybe a little bit later, but in the middle of the night, that Tracy Michaels, that he had heard him breathing, but when they got up the next day, I don't remember the exact time, but 9 or whatever, that they found him unresponsive, and unfortunately he passed away. And that was basically the end of the Peppermint Creeps. I think they did do a few more shows. I don't know to the extent. I remember they had. I've seen them do clips with a different drummer, but I think most people that hear Tracy play, it's there's no replacing that kind of drummer, and especially him. I think being one of the founding members, a driving force. It's like almost impossible, man, to have. At least to me, I don't know, but I mean, at least to me, when you're someone like when you have a partner, the way Macy and Tracy were together, to even though Billy he seems like a really cool dude, it just seems like, and I guess that's why Macy still jams with him because it's like it's still badass, but it's not the Peppermint Creeps, and I guess the just all the fire that Tracy Michaels brought to the band. It's like, hey, let's do something else. Kind of like a Led Zeppelin kind of deal. It's like, we can still play, but we're kind of play like the Peppermint Creeps without Tracy Michaels. So, I hope you guys go ahead and check them out. They're a really badass band. I'll be doing more of these, talking about different bands and shit like that were, maybe not super famous, things like that. This is a band that I definitely feel. They are definitely known, but they didn't reach where they should have gotten. You got a band like Ghost, where I thought these guys are like way better than Ghost. But Ghost is still cool, but this is the Ghost before Ghost, any of that shit. And this is like 2000. I think they formed 97, like I said, and they were really hitting their peak in 2005, or what their peak, the only peak that we got to see as fans and shit. So anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you on the next one.
I went to see my baby, but I forgot to call. Yeah, I forgot to call. She said she'd always love me, my little Barbie doll, my pretty Barbie doll. Who was that girl going down on her? Is she leaving me? Yeah, I'm not so sure. I almost married my girlfriend, the lesbian. 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 Walked into her bedroom. I couldn't